إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. My respected brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah for the blessings of being Muslims. And Alhamdulillah for choosing us and granting us the chance to carry and to say and to act according to La ilaha illallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تُؤْمِنَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. There is no soul would believe without a permission from Allah. وَيَجْعَلُ الرِّجْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. But He put blame and filth upon those who do not act in a mindful way. Last time I talked about the dunya and the way that the believer should think about it. And the last point we stopped by that we are in a battlefield. This life is a battlefield. That war you did not declare. This war you found yourself in the heart of it. Shaitan alayhi la'natullah, because of his kibr and istikbar, because of his ego and prejudice, he disobeyed the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and appointed himself as an enemy for our father Adam alayhi salam. Adam passed away, but Shaitan, from the first moment he committed his sin, he declared, قَالَ فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I swear by your dignity, I'm going to misguide them all. Then he figured out there is a section among the worshippers, among the offsprings of Adam alayhi salam, as Shaitan has no upper hand upon them. Then he excluded that group. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Except your worshippers among them, whom they are sincere. Sincere in the acts of worshipping, and who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them the elite. But before talking about our enemy and the battlefield, there's a couple things we would like to verify and confirm. The first thing is, this life, the life we live, is daru amalin wa laysa daru jaza. It is time for working, not for reward. And when we say daru amalin laysa daru jaza, that means your concern should be your deeds, not your concern the consequences of your deeds. Why? Because as a believer, you are running your life like the rest of the humans. You have to work, you have to satisfy your needs, you have to stand up for yourself, you have to pave your life, your way for a prosperous future and comfortable life. But when you know the great reward of your deeds, you are not entitled for these rewards in dunya, then you will focus more upon accumulation of these good deeds. يبقى الدنيا دار عمل وليس الدار جزاء. This is a fact for the believer. And because of this, you will never say life is not fair. Because if life is fair, then basically there is no day of judgment. The second concept is الدار الدنيا دار متاع وليس الدار قرار. The worldly life is a short life. ويوم تقوم الساعة, when the day of judgment takes place, يقسم المجرمون ما لبثوا غير ساعة. The criminals, the sinners, the disbelievers, they will say, we only spent an hour. So their life span, 70, 80, 100 years, from their perspective, it was only 1 hour. كذلك كانوا يؤفكون. This is the way they got deceived, cheated, and this is the way they are telling lies. دار عمل ليس دار جزاء. Make the concern your deeds. دار متاع وليس دار قرار. It is for short period of time, not for long time. You cannot even compare the life today with the hereafter life. الدار الدنيا دار ابتلاء وليس الدار صفاء. When you talk about the worldly life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, scattered in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ حَتَّى نَعْلَمَ الْمُجَاهِدِينَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّابِرِينَ وَنَبْلُوَ أَخْبَارَكُمْ. We will try you to see the mujahideen and the patience amongst you. وَنَبْلُوَ أَخْبَارَكُمْ, that everyone proves what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote for them. They're worthy of being in Jannah, or their share in Jahannam is a fair share for themselves. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the believers, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek help with prayers as well with patience. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. We will try you. بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ, out of fear. وَالْجُوعِ, hunger. وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, decreasing in wealth, in business. وَالْأَنفُسِ, the most beloved to you, can be taken away all of a sudden. وَالثَّمَرَاتِ, and the fruit, can be business, can be trade, can be harvesting, can be anything. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, and carry the glad tidings to those who are patient. يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَى رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. Al-kadh, the hard work. You are going to struggle day after day. Leave a minor problem to be involved in a major problem. Solving that major problem to start a new problem. Leave that battlefield, finish to restart another one. إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَى رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا. A hardship after hardship. Till what? إِلَى رَبِّكَ. Till you reach your Lord. فَمُلَاقِيهِ. Then when you meet your Lord, that kadh is over. Because the amal is over. Then you are entitled for the reward. يبقى worldly life is very short. So it is insane to dedicate most of your time for it, because there is a longer life much worthier of your dedication. To do everything for the sake of Allah and expecting that everything will turn peachy and rosy and nice and comfortable because you are Allah's worshipper, true worshipper, that will not take place. It didn't take place with Rasulullah, it didn't take place with the Sahaba. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised He will try them to filter them. Then when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they meet Allah pure, clean. There is no sin to be charged for or to be accountable for. This worldly life is a life of affliction. So if you live a day comfortable, then comparing to that day, there is months will not be comfortable. Should I cut the hope? No. We are talking about figure out the nature of the life. The last point of these, it is a war is not peace. What does mean it is a war is not peace? You are in a battlefield every day for your rizq and for your ibadah much more. The battlefield you have every day for your rizq, believer and disbeliever, they share. But the one that hold firmly your deen, it is only for you as a believer. And in this regard, you have to know who are you, what strength and what power do you have, what is unique about you that can be implemented and properly used. What are the shortcomings of yourself that you can work on them and improve them? And you have to know very well your enemy, because your enemy is observing you. And the more you know about your enemy and his tricks, the more you will be comfortably running that battlefield between you and him. And for any human that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, there is two types of enemy. Enemy from ins and enemy from jinn. A human can be an enemy for you, regardless who is he. And Shaitan alayhi la'natullah is your enemy from jinn. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the enemy from humans, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. We have a slang Arabic proverb. It says, مَا بَحَبَّ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدَ عَدَوٍ. The strongest relation among people, it was an outcome of a conflict or a hatred relation before. And you see someone, the first time he met that someone, they fight together over something. Then slowly, they start building up good relation. Then that good relation becomes very strong. So it doesn't matter. The enemy of the human can be a close friend to you. And the hostility, the hatred between you and him, can it change? But the enemy between you and Shaitan is an eternal enemy. The problem in this relation or the problem in this battlefield or that war is not you, it is your enemy. He made up his mind and he's going for it. Inna shaytana lakum adu fattakhiduhu aduwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is an enemy for you. Deal with him the way you deal with your enemy. The enemy of the humans, he said you might establish peace and you might have close friendship. The enemy of jinn will not change, will not accept ceasefire. But the enemy of humans, of ins, can accept ceasefire and can change to be the best friend. إنما يدعو حزبه ليكونوا من أصحاب السعير. Shaitan and his party, they are calling their followers to share them the residence of Jahannam. This is the only thing that will please the Shaitan alayhi la'natullah. Nothing else will please the Shaitan alayhi la'natullah. The nature of our life should be well known for ourselves. The enemy that is observing us, looking at us, he has an eternal hostility and hatred. will never slow down and will never accept peace or ceasefire. He is a warrior till the end of his life. This is the way he is. And this is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about him. Then what is the attitude that we should adapt dealing with our enemy? When we ask ourselves about the most important enemies for the believer, then basically there is three things. There is something called the hawa, something called the nafs, something called the shaitan. And if you add one thing more, they call it a dunya, the worldly life. But what is the hawa? Rasulullah ﷺ stated, حُبُّكَ الشَّيْء يُعْمِي وَيُصِمْ وَيُعْمِي وَيَصُمْ. When you feel in love with something, that makes your eyes blind and your ear deaf. When you're really in deep love with something, everything is beautiful. Like when a brother fell in love with a sister, mashallah, I mean the love of the heart, someone say to him, she's not that beautiful, he is willing to fight with him. Wallahi, she has, even to criticize the color of the car she drives, he doesn't like. Why? Because his mind is set in this vision there. He only see that one. And even the shortcoming in herself that everybody observe, for him this is actually the source of beauty that people misunderstand or they do not see. The same thing. Your hawa, the reason for calling hawa in Arabic hawa, they say because it will take you from all the way on the top down to the bottom part. Yahwi bisahibih, from high status down to the degradation and losing all of your status or your social position. That hawa is your love towards something. And in the other they say, صاحب الهوى لا يحق حقا ولا يبطل باطلا ولا يعرف معروفا ولا ينكر منكرا. Everything based upon his own desire. I love it, then everything good about it. I don't like it, then everything is wrong about it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in the Quran, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Imagine someone, his Lord is his hawa, what he likes and what he doesn't like. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. The knowledge that he rely upon is misguiding knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sealed his eye and his ears. So he cannot see, he cannot hear. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. And there is a veil above his eyes. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. Who is going to guide him after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That hawa, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. So, if you adjust yourself, what you love, what pleases Allah and Rasulullah, what you don't love, what displeases Allah and Rasulullah, then you fix your feet on the straight path. This is why Rasulullah said it, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. You will not be a perfect or a complete believer unless your hawa matches what Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam recommend. What is an-nafs? An-nafs is basically something within ourselves which is, I asked it myself this question and really I do not really understand it. It can be the answer right or wrong. When you talk about an-nafs in the Quran and what the scholars say about it, basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about three types of nafs, three types of souls. he talked about النفس الأمارة بالسوء وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء. The soul that orders you with the ma'asi and the haram stuff. Then there is another nafs, higher level than this. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by the day of judgment and the blaming soul. What does mean blaming soul? It is the soul that blames its owner when he committed sins. Every time you do something wrong, you see like your consciousness doesn't feel comfortable, blames you. What you have done is wrong. The word you said, you shouldn't say it. Whatever you have done, that shouldn't be done. That consider a sin, blames you for it. And I think this is one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive the sin of the believer, while He does not forgive the sin of the disbeliever. Because the sin of the believer never being a complete pleasure. Before doing it, he think about Allah. The time he's doing it, the pleasure is decreased. And after committing it, like a mountain lay down on his shoulders because of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While the disbeliever, he enjoyed before it, enjoyed during it, and after it, he doesn't feel regret or blaming himself. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about النفس المطمئنة. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. The مطمئنة secured. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with it, and this nafs is pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question I do not really understand. All of the anfus has to go through step 1, step 2, step 3. Yani the origin of our anfus, regardless who are we, is the first level, ammaratun bis-su', the soul that orders you to commit the haram, the soul that trace desires and lusts, regardless. And it is, by the way, insisting nafs. Yani you try to push it right, to push it left, to postpone it. It is always insisting, this is what I want, and I want it now. When I'm going to enjoy it, let's do it. So everybody has at the beginning that ammara bis-su' nafs. Then he work on his nafs. Then it becomes a blaming nafs. Then he work on his nafs more. Then it becomes nafs mutma'inna. Or everyone has different type of nafs. But I think wallahu a'lam, the origin of our anfus, that trees desires. And the best way is to train them, to move from level 1 to level 2, which at least من سرته حسنته وساءته سيئته فهو المؤمن. يعني Rasulullah sallallahu is saying the hadith, if your good deed pleases you and your sin bothers you, then you are a true believer. And if I put practice and I put a word between, that should be a nafs al-lawwama. Nafs al-lawwama means when I do good, I am pleased with it. When I do bad, I feel ashamed of it. My good deed gives me a feeling of happiness and pleasant feeling, while my sin bothers me. طيب. النفس المطمئنة, this is the highest level. You can say this is a nafs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala secured from the harm. This is the nafs that goes according to the book with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And is not easy. Why? Because you have to dedicate a lot of efforts to pass level 1 to level 2 to reach level 3. Because level 3, يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. This nafs go back to Allah ta'ala the minute that soul leaves this body. أيها الإخوة المؤمنون إن البر لا يبلى والذنب لا ينسى والديان لا يموت اعمل ما شئت كما تدين تدان ودعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه ملء السماوات وملء الأرض وملء ما بينهما وملء ما شاء من شيء بعد وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. My respected brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran and sent Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam not only to read the Quran and memorize the Quran and debate about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but for كتاب أنزلناه إليك مبارك ليدبروا آياته وليتذكر أولو الألباب. The Muslim Ummah today, among them so many huffaz of the Quran, millions of huffaz in every Muslim country. But the Muslim Ummah today in the weakest position. Do you know why? Because we flip things upside down. It is an asset, it is a pleasure, it is a treasure to memorize Quran. But it is much more important than the memorization of the Quran is to make the Quran the curriculum and the theory that you apply in your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran and ordered the Ummah of Rasulullah sallam أن يتدبروا آيات, to ponder over the verses of it. And he didn't say guard my Quran. There is nothing in the Quran, it says the believers, they should guard the Quran. It happened with the people before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were entitled to guard the words of Allah. But the words of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. In regard to the safety and security and keeping Quran intact, being protected from addition or subtraction, keeping in the pure version revealed upon Rasulullah sallam, Allah said, this is my duty. But what is the duty of the believer? Is to study the Quran. But we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no. We let you ponder over the Quran and we will memorize the Quran for you. We flipped the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, too much memorization, too much hifz, but very little work. And this is the essence that the believer should carry out. When you come to the hawa, then basically you shouldn't listen to yourself. You should make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most beloved to you. And whatever pleases him should be your goal. And when it comes to your nafs, your shahwa, then try to satisfy your shahwa the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed. Otherwise, you will enjoy the way you satisfied yourself, and after the sin that you committed, then too much harm you will have in your life. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made those who disbelieve an example in front of our eyes before anything else. Yani some of the Muslim brothers, especially the teenagers, when they have like a party here in Western countries, they drink alcohol and dancing, men and women, and مش عارف ايه, and they say we have fun. And they take drugs, they drink, they do all the haram. After the party is over, what happened? What do we see? Because we never been in these parties. You see them throw up the wine they drink. And some they talk nonsense during these parties. And after the party is over, they feel headache and stuff like this. And some of them even after that kill themselves. That doesn't mean these parties really purifying their souls and they have fun. Why? Because they are away from the catalog that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed. With our emphasis, we shouldn't listen to our desires. And if there is a desire that insists upon you needs to be fulfilled, then there is Shar'i way how to fulfill this desire. And the third point, يبقى النفس والهوى and your shaitan. Always, whatever the shaitan say, do the opposite of it. And Imam al-Ghazali alayhi rahmatullah, he has this glorious statement. He said, the three enemies of the believer are his dunya and his nafs and his shaitan. And he said in regard to the dunya, the worldly life, the best way to be satisfied and train yourself to be satisfied with the little of it. Do not compete with those who have too much. Why? Because alhamdulillah, little bit satisfy your needs is much better than abundance that will create a tyrant within yourself. The second thing, your nafs, the best way to deal with your nafs is to abandon your shahwat. And if you feel down a victim of your shahwa, then take exit and return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as fast as possible. With the shaitan alayhi la'natullah, then mukhalafatuh means do the opposite of whatever the shaitan say. Shaitan say this, do the opposite and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will conclude the khutbah by the statement of Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said, الشيطان is sitting on the heart of the son. فإذا سهى وغفل وسوس. The minute he is forgotten, he forgot about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and becomes forgetful, then he will start whispering to him. فإذا ذكر الله تعالى خنس. The minute he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he remains silent. What does that mean? It means Allah and Rasulullah, they taught us the reality of our life. And they informed us about the future that is waiting for us. Try to do good in your dunya, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you the pleasure of it. And try to pave your way towards your destination in Jannah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might grant that share as a share or a luck for ourselves in akhirah. وإني داع فأمنوا. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. عباد الله قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.